So there's an overload of information out there regarding plyometrics, and it's easy to get overwhelmed by it. So it's been helpful for me to create an organizational structure for my jumps and plyos and categorize them based off the stimulus they're giving to the body. So the main two categories I put them into are explosive and reactive. Explosive are the slow stretch shortening cycle jumps and plyos. The reactive are the fast stretch shortening cycle jumps and plyos. And what determines what category a plyometric is going to fall into is the ground contact time, because the ground contact time is what determines the method of force application. So for the explosive or slow stretch shortening cycle jumps and plyos, there's a longer ground contact time of greater than 0.25 seconds. So therefore you're going to go into a deeper range of motion. You're going to go into deeper angles of flexion at the ankles, the knees, and the hip. So therefore there's more time to develop force, more cross bridges being created. So the method of force application is dependent upon the contractile components of the muscle, dependent upon the brain sending a strong neural drive to create quick bursts of muscular tension. So examples of these are going to be your single response jumps, hops, and bounds. Single response meaning the repetition starts on the ground and you project your body into the air. I also categorize depth jumps into here. Depth jump for maximal height because you're going into deeper angles of flexion. It's a longer ground contact time, more time to develop force. The other category, reactive, fast stretch shortening cycle plyos have a quicker ground contact time. So therefore a smaller range of motion, less time to develop force. So the method of force application is dependent upon the storage and release of elastic energy within the tendon. It's dependent upon the muscles pre-tensing prior to ground contact and holding on to that isometric contraction while the tendon stores and releases elastic energy. So examples of these are going to be your more continuous jumps, hops, and bounds. So the cyclical, springy, bouncy, quick ground contact time variations. So what to do with this information? It's important to understand what the force production demands are within the sport that you're training for or within the position within the sport that you're training for. Tim Karen talks about this in his book, The Strength Deficit. It's a very valuable book. I suggest you check it out. But essentially, the more momentum and space that you're operating in within your sport, the faster the ground contacts are gonna be. So the more elastic, tendon driven the force production is gonna be. So in a sport like soccer or a DB in American football, with receiver in football, they're operating a lot of space, accumulating a lot of ground contacts at high momentums. So they're producing force via storage and release of elastic energy within the tendon, as opposed to a sport like basketball or tennis or an offensive lineman exploding off the ball. They're operating in smaller spaces with less momentum. So their force production is reliant on the brain sending a strong neural signal to develop muscular tension. It's more muscular dominant. Now, that's not to say that a DB can't benefit from explosive slow stretch shortening cycle plyos, but from a specificity perspective, it's important to understand what are the force production demands of the sport so you can condition the body properly to handle those demands.